Hello, welcome back, boys and girls. Today we're reading one of the McBride collection of stories, and today's book is called Korra and the Last Seed of Odinani, written by Korra Obidi with Heddrick McBride, illustrated by H. Parks. Now, this book is read with permission from the author. Now, in this remarkable story, Korra is on a mission to save the seven kingdoms of the Delta. Now, let's see what happens. Let's get started. The light of day is waning into darkness, and the shadows are elongating and turning into ghosts. Now, in the house of King Kango of Odinani, a light is seen shining from a window on the top floor. And Korra is sitting by the fireplace reading the rule book of Odinani, a little white rabbit nuzzling a elbow. And a few steps away from her, a grandmother, Nana Kai, sits on a recliner, looking at the sunset. Grandma, is the legend true? What legend, dear? Nanakai asked, coughing into her hands. Are we direct relatives of the spirit Odinani? And Nanakai released a hoarse chuckle. There is so much about our kingdom that should be made known to you in time, but your mother is no more. But you and father can teach me, right? Of course, dear. Come closer. And Korra drew closer to Nana's feet, eyes burning with curiosity. And the rabbit squeaked, displeased to have been displaced from her position. Not now, Anya, Korra admonished. Long ago, Nana began, Abba Kango, my great-great-grandfather, met the spirit of Odinani in the forest while on a quest. And he came to our ancestor in the guise of an old man with a burden too heavy to carry on his shoulder. And Abakago offered to help Odinani to reach his destination. And as a reward for his kindness, Odinani gave him a necklace containing 3 seeds. The lost necklace? Korra asked with awe. Let me finish, child, Nanakai said with amusement. And she cleared her throat and continued. The gold necklace contained 3 black seeds. Plant one anytime that your country is in grave need. Odinani had told Abakango, and with that, Odinani disappeared. And Abakango planted one of the seeds when he returned home, the tree and the power to bring life. Now, many people came to pay homage to the tree, and some chose to stay near it instead of going the long way home. Well, that is how our kingdom came to exist. But why isn't all of this written in our history books, Nana? Why? Well, because if it were, the whole kingdom would know about the existence of the other two seeds and come after them. But does it mean? Korra couldn't complete the question. Was it possible that this necklace still exists? And then Nana Kai produced a shiny gold necklace from the folds of her cloth. It had a pendant in the shape of a locket. You have the necklace? Korra whispered, her eyes round like saucers. Well, it has been in our family since the beginning, guarded by the first daughters of the clan. Now it is yours. And Nana Kai put the necklace in Korra's cupped hands. Really? Yes, child. It is now your responsibility to bring hope and life back to the Seven Kingdoms. Now Korra opened the necklace and frowned. There was only one seed. You said there were two seeds, Nana? Yes. Nana nodded sagely. The third was lost to the Westerners when civilization came to Odinani, who knew that would be the start of all our problems. And she shook her head, coughing in her hands. Quick, child, get me a bowl of water. And Korra ran to the water tank and came back almost immediately, bearing Nana's water. But when she got back, Nana Kai was staring blankly into nothingness, and her chest not rising anymore. Well, Nana was buried the next evening. Korra Obidi, Korra's father, made a call to everyone in the kingdom, and the burial rites were performed. And as tradition required, Korra was not supposed to be seen that day, as she would be prepared as the next regent queen of Odinani. Korra heard a rustling by the door. Is that you, Atama? She asked. Atama was a nurse and tutor in the Western ways. She had asked Atama to attend Nana Kai's burial and give her a play-by-play so she wouldn't have missed out entirely. Silence made a question. Atama? She called again, hugging Anya to herself. And that was when a piece of cloth was pulled sharply over her eyes, and she was whisked away, despite struggling to escape Hakkidnapper. Now Korra woke up to a young girl, about her age, peering at her face. And when the girl suddenly realized Korra was awake, she ran away. Who was she? And what was this place? Korra looked at herself. She was not bound. The windows were glass, framed in gilded metal, and the door to the room was unlocked. Who went to the trouble of kidnapping a princess and didn't bother to stop her from escaping? Unless there were guards ready to cut her down the minute she got out. And there was only one way to find out. An array of guards were lined up at the door of the room, their outfits a fusion between tradition and civilization. And something strange happened when Korra opened the door. They all got down on bended knees as if they knew she was royalty, like they were her people. I'm sorry we had to meet this way, Princess. I trust your quarters are to your liking. And Korra turned. A woman in a red kaftan approached her. Who are you? And what am I doing here? Korra asked. I'm Zoba, the High Priestess of Walaka, the woman said with a bow. Walaka? Korra's heart sped up. Walaka was a village that shared a boundary with Odinani, and it was the reason the Seven Kingdoms were at war, and why the tree of Odinani was no more. Zoba must have seen the fear and revulsion on Korra's face because she smiled. There's nothing to fear from me, Princess. I would never hurt you. Besides, I need to pass on a message to you. It will be crucial to your mission now that you have the last seed of Odinani. And Korra's heart sank. They knew she had the seed, so that was why she had been kidnapped, and she slipped her hands into her inner skirts, sighing in relief. They hadn't taken the seed from her yet. Oh, worry not, Princess. I have no wish to take the seed from you. It is, after all, your mission. I need to have you prepared for your journey. How do you know I have the seed? Nanakai just passed away, did she not? Zoba asked with a shrug. And she was the last guardian of which we knew. You knew my grandmother? Korra asked in disbelief. How was it possible? Everyone in Odinani told frightening stories of the Walaka. After all, they were plunderers. No one from Odinani would associate with them on purpose. Come on, Princess. There's so much wrong with your history books, and we have till nightfall. And then Korra followed the priestess reluctantly into her own chambers, and there she saw Anya chomping on a carrot from the hands of the girl she spotted earlier. Anya ran to her, sniffing her own hands, while the girl went into another room without saying a word to anyone. Long ago, your ancestor met with Odinani. The high priestess started. Odinani and Ogboni, goddess of this sacred river, were lovers. All was well with them until a prophecy was made about the coming of civilization and how it will erode the essence of nature. So Odinani decided to go in search of a human worthy of his essence. And if he found that person, he would give them the power to cure all disease and stop the rotting of civilization as it arose. Our people of Walaka have been given the duty of protecting the goddess of Ogboni. Sadly, now the oil pollution from the delta has made it as far as the sacred river, And if Ogboni dies, so does our last hope of salvation. Then why were you vilified and blamed for the division of the seven kingdoms? Korra asks. The seven villages heard about the existence of the remaining seeds of Odinani, and they were threatened by the power it gave Abakango. So they waged a war against them, and they almost won. But we intervened and brought help from the west, and we took the blame to protect the seed and Abakango. And that was how the other seed was lost? Korra concluded, understanding dawning on her. She had been misled her whole life. She had believed that the Walaka people were evil, but they had helped protect our own people, and they had known a grandmother. So, Korra Obidi, the guardian of the last seed of Odinani, it is your destiny to save our kingdoms from the pollution of civilization. But I don't know how, Korra said, hugging Anya to herself. Well, that's where Hugo comes in, she said with a smile, turning to look at something behind Korra's head. It was the girl from before, and she stood by the door to another hidden room, beckoning for Korra to join her. And Korra stood up and followed her reluctantly. And then they entered a small room behind the priestess' quarters, and Anya jumped out of her arms, disappearing into one corner. Anya, she called. Oh, she's fine, the girl said shyly. She probably smelled the nuts. My name is Ugo, she said after a pause. I'm Korra. I know you are, the girl said with a half smile. Where's this place? Korra asked, looking around. One side of the room was dominated by a big metal machine made of pipes and an engine, and the other side had a white tile slab with petri dishes and beakers lined up. And one glass pot had a brown liquid boiling over a Bunsen burner. Well, this is my lab, gestured the girl. I've been trying methods of water purification for our rivers, and I stumbled on this method, and it's called reverse osmosis. How does it work? Korra asked, coming closer as Ugo started fiddling with the machines, and steam filled everywhere. Well, I find a channel to bring the water, and then we pass it through this muslin sheet and filter it. If you have found the method of water purification, so why do you need me? What is left for me to do? Well, we need to build a bigger machine with a pump to purify the water at Ogboni. And to do that, we need the cooperation of every kingdom in Odinani. Now Korra sighed. How would she achieve something so momentous? Hugo took the rest of the time to teach Korra how to decant the water from the oil and then filter it. And when they were done, Zoba gave Korra a parchment paper containing the instructions of the filtration techniques. Do not disappoint us, Korra. Help us heal our world from pollution, said the high priestess. And then they bowed to Korra and quickly transported her back to the outskirts of Odinani. Now, the search party, organized by Korra Obidi and the security detail of Odinani, had been looking for the princess for about 12 hours before she reappeared, walking up the pathway to the house. Korra Obidi came running out when he heard his daughter was back. "Where were you?" he barked. His eyes were shining with rage and fear. "I went to visit the Walaka people," Korra said. Her shoulders squared. A hush fell over the entire house as Korra faced off with her father. "You did what?" And in a calm voice, Korra told her father of the adventure she just had. "We can purify the sacred river, Father, and we can save all the 7 kingdoms." And after a meeting with his daughter, Korra of Obidi called a meeting with the other 6 kingdoms. And despite their differences, they all agreed that they needed to find a solution to their pollution problem. And then they worked together to build the big pump, and then they built the filtration machine. And soon, all of the secret river was purified, and the last seed of Odinani was planted. Peace and healing returned to the 7 kingdoms, and even the people of Walaka were reunited with the rest of the kingdoms. And a few years later, Korra Obidi of Odinani became the queen of the 7 kingdoms, becoming the greatest ruler to have ever lived in the land of Odinani. Yeah. Wow. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful story. This is a great book to have for your own library. To purchase one, please use the link in the description below. Thank you for joining us again for another story time. We thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you soon.